Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. It's a new year and a new episode, so let's of course start things off by finishing up an old episode from last year. Last time on Batman/Aliens. Batman dropped into a Guatemalan jungle in search of a lost geologist working for Wayne Tech, but along the way encountered a group of US Special Forces commandos investigating a crashed alien ship. Inside the ship, and the temple it's crashed into, they discovered dead aliens, a dead geologist, and their own dead as xenomorphs popped out and attacked. Thanks to a grenade, our heroes are saved, or rather, Batman and two soldiers are the only survivors, Hyatt and Vanderpool. Unfortunately, the grenade also caused a cave-in, trapping the three and leaving us off there. So let's dig into Batman/Aliens number 2 and see if the Dark Knight will have to take off and nuke the site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. The cover's pretty good. Batman being menaced by a xenomorph, but him defiantly grabbing its second mouth as if he was just about to yank it out. Only thing I could really do without is his arm having so much defined muscle, especially under spandex. Looks like a Liefeld drawing. The xenomorph's added details help illustrate its alien nature to us. Batman's extra physique makes it look like his arm is made of tumors. We open on a familiar scene, the Waynes leaving the theater. Full disclosure, this scene is the entire reason I wanted to review Batman/Aliens, partially because it's often taken out of context, and partially because it's just silly. Instead of Zorro, they're coming out of It Came from Outer Space. It Came from Outer Space, as it happens, is a real science fiction film from 1953. And rather unfortunately named, since there are in fact more than one it that arrived in the film, and they're actually peaceful, which makes what happens next even more hilarious. First of all, the movie poster for it shows a guy and a xenomorph on it, and I'm pretty sure they're just hugging it out. Besties! But Thomas Wayne asks his son what he thought of it. I guess it was okay, but it was kind of scary. The scene with the guy making out with the alien queen seemed a bit gratuitous. Oh, as it happens, It Came from Outer Space had a made-for-TV remake in 1996. Except despite being a remake, it was called It Came from Outer Space 2. Maybe that's how movies should actually work. No sequels, just label a remake with a number, as if it's version 2.0 or something. Anyway, young Bruce says he'd much rather have seen Zorro like they had planned. Maybe next time. Come along, son, and we need to be getting home now. We need to watch the version of It, the Terror from Beyond Space with a predator in it. They head into an alleyway for a shortcut, and Bruce expresses his fear about it. But his mom reassures him there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing at night that isn't here during the day. Even the prostitutes! However, Thomas suddenly spasms over, his speech muffled. Thomas? Thomas, what is it? Ah! Oh God, Martha! I swallowed my gum! That's the worst thing that's gonna happen to me tonight! Bruce goes down to help him. This is a bad place! Damn you, Eleanor Shellstrop! You were right! And thus it's revealed he has a face hugger on him. Meanwhile, Joe Chill's standing off to the side with his gun like, you know what, lady? You can keep your pearls. You've got enough problems tonight. Bruce tries to get his mother to help get it off of him, but of course a chestburster takes this opportunity to, well, do its thing, emerging out of her. Man, Ridley Scott's original plans for the Prometheus sequel were weird. With one parent dead and the other enjoying an unorthodox CPAP machine, Bruce collapses in what is now the standard shot for the murder of the Waynes, before we suddenly cut to Batman looking at his chest logo bulging outwards. Oh no! My Bat logo has an erection! And as you may have gathered by now, it was all a nightmare. I'm split on this. On the one hand, the Batman books have a tendency to not sell Batman's trauma and nightmares because of the fear it will make him look weak, and how dare we show vulnerability in the Bat God. So seeing him really frightened in a nightmare like this, not just with the reduction to his own childhood trauma, but then a shot of him with a chest buster about to rip out of the Batman costume is good. But at the same time, seeing the iconic death of his parents, but with friggin' aliens in it, is just kind of silly. It's okay to have two different scary traumas, you don't need to try to mix them together. It's just incredibly goofy, and like I said, I've seen people confusedly share this dream sequence without the additional context that it's a dream, leading to a lot of what the hell reactions. Although just watch, retcon their deaths enough times and eventually aliens will be involved. Anyway, he wakes up, and during the entire dream, we heard a recounting of events play out in narration. It turns out to be the tape recorder that Hyatt pocketed last issue, which recorded the last days of the geologist. The interesting thing to note here is that the events with the geologist were actually a comic, Aliens Incubation, and Batman/Aliens is a sequel to it. It's not really that relevant to what's happening, but it is a neat trivia note. Though not surprising, given that Ron Mars and Bernie Wrightson were also the creators on Incubation. Anyway, yeah, Batman's awake. Bad dreams?
No, that was nothing compared to the one where my parents were killed by Pikachu.
Hyatt offers Batman a gun again, but he still refuses. He promises to get them out of there, but Vanderpool is dubious of their chances.
There's always a way, Vanderpool. Don't lose hope.
Cripes, who are you? Little Mary Sunshine?
Better Little Mary Sunshine than a negative Nancy, Vanderpool.
He worries there could be dozens more xenomorphs around, but Batman deduces that there are only 2 of them left.
Obviously, they came to Earth via the downed spacecraft we found.
That's supposed to be some sort of revelation? We need a detective for that?
I've also deduced that they are the product of a disturbed android experimenting with some black goo that evolves into a similar life form in the future.
How the hell did you deduce that?
I mean, it's pretty obvious when you think about it. That's why this franchise is called a genetically engineered life form.
Franchise?
I am the world's greatest detective!
Actually, he's figured out the alien's life cycle, in turn figuring out how many there must have been based on the amount of eggs and hosts they found. Interspersed with this is the crocodile from the end of last issue that found a xenomorph egg. And things not going well for the poor thing as it flails around, something bursting out of... well, I think by now you know what's going on there. Vanderpool remains his optimistic self. That's great. Makes me feel a lot better. When one of your living specimens grabs me, I'll say, gee, I'm familiar with your life cycle.
Glad I could be reassuring. Robin's been encouraging me to be less serious all the time. Now we got a campfire, and I say we have ourselves a sing-along. Gray skies are gonna clear up. Put on a happy face.
2 or 200, it doesn't make any difference, cause we still got no way out of here. Then maybe you shouldn't have built a fire that's eating up all your oxygen. However, Batman spots the bats in the cave traveling down a passageway that I guess was there the whole time and they never bothered to check out. He figures that since the bats have been traveling through the temple this whole time, they're most likely heading towards another surface exit, and he leads the 2 down the path. They discover a larger chamber with Mayan hieroglyphs on the walls.
The Mayan writing system was unusually sophisticated. 800 different symbols, each of those with various simple and complex forms. For example, this one means gopher fornicator in simple, and I'm selling my socket wrenches best offer in complex.
And this? Can you read any of it?
It's more like interpreting an art form, visual poetry, although I'm pretty sure this is a fast food advertisement.
He can read ideas, something about a sacrificial area and fire, but he's interrupted by Vanderpool putting his hand in something. The gooey, excreted resin that the xenomorphs use. This indicates that they've been down here, possibly recently, but Batman manages to calm him down, and it even encourages him that they're on the right track. Until he runs right into a xenomorph. As its buddy arrives to help it, Batman encourages Vanderpool to get clear while Hyatt gets ensnared. After he pulls her clear, Batman shoves a grenade in one's mouth. Destroying it, he gets Hyatt clear so he can deal with the final one. He leaps over to a large statue, trying to push it over, kind of weirdly. At first I thought he was trying to get between it and the wall so he can use his legs to shove it, but it looks more like he's trying to yank the thing down by the pole arm it's holding.
Damn, if only I had a grenade to blow this up with! Wait.
Somehow, against all reason, he manages to get it down and collapses the entrance of the tunnel our heroes went down. Batman managing to get in too. There's a tiny enough hole that allows it to try to bite at Batman with the extendo jaw, but it can't reach him. Hyatt reloads, and for some reason, she doesn't try to just shoot the thing through the hole. Thanks to you, that's twice you saved my life. People will say we're an item.
Lady, I've been shipped with like half the planet. Just being in the same room as someone else will do it.
They proceed down the tunnel and inform Vanderpool about what happened. Batman says that once the other two are safely out of here, he'll deal with the remaining alien, since he doesn't want it to escape or fall into the wrong hands.
It might be best to level the whole site with an airstrike.
We're only approaching the halfway point, and the comic already answered the question I posed at the beginning. Efficient. Vanderpool is all in on that, though Hyatt remains quiet as they approach the end of the tunnel, which leads out into a giant carved statue mouth made out of the cliffside of a waterfall. Batman climbs up the side to get a line to them, especially since Vanderpool can't climb with his injured arm, and Vanderpool, now feeling more optimistic, talks to Hyatt. Think we'll get decorated for this? Uh-huh, that's what they usually do, when you lose 3/5 of your squad and come back empty-handed. I see big medals, Van. Big ones. Purple hearts come in more than one size? Cool! He also mentions how dangerous the aliens would be if they were set loose in a war zone, but unfortunately, he is yet again interrupted as a xenomorph tail slides down behind him. Another great thing about this comic, it knows how to use its dialogue sequences well, and this is a good point to note in regards to any visual medium. It's important to have sequences where things calm down, less action to give characters more of a breather, but that can also be incredibly boring for the reader or watcher or whatever. So what this comic is doing is interspersing any long dialogue exchanges with other things. We saw that with Batman's exposition of the xenomorph's life cycle, and we're seeing it here with Batman making his climb and exploring around a bit while the soldiers talk. It grabs Vanderpool and he begs her for help, but Hyatt just stares at him as it drags him away into the dark. She finally lets off a few shots, but not at the alien, just into the air. And that's when Hyatt pulls off her mask and reveals she was a xenomorph the whole time! The shots bring Batman back, and, ironically, Hyatt gives some crocodile tears, claiming that the alien killed Vanderpool, but that she was able to kill it. They climb up, and Batman says they're actually on top of a capped lava tube, potentially an entire active volcano, and that the altar was used for blood sacrifices. He shows her a hole in the cavern ceiling that he thinks is their ticket out, offering to let her climb up first. However, once the line is secure, she bonks him on the back of the head, and he goes toppling down the rather steep stairway. Look at that, you need climbing equipment just to get up that thing. Yet in the next panel, the angle of the stairs is much better. Anyway, she puts her foot on his chest.
You killed Van, didn't you?
Not exactly. I just didn't go out of my way to save him.
You monster! Well, I know I would never fail to save someone. I mean, unless it was like Ra's al Ghul, then it'd be okay. Or One Face.
He asks why, and she reveals the tape recorder. Although I'm confused why she's treating this like a big reveal when she clearly had it out earlier when Batman woke up. The last segment on the tape from the geologist talks about how inevitable it is for the xenomorphs to kill and there's nothing you can do to save yourself. It's a perfectly fine narration, it's just it seems odd that it's being used as a justification in this sequence since it doesn't seem like anything to really do with her motivations. She says that she plans to tell her superiors about the aliens and their potential as bioweapons. This is basically her ticket up the ranks. And I actually like this turn. Hyatt is a pretty well-rounded character capable of showing reason and empathy, but it was also established in the first issue that she'll do anything she has to for the advancement of her life and career. Hell, she's not even smiling during this. It's almost like she recognizes that this is a dick move, but the rewards outweigh any personal feelings she might have. However, before she shoots Batman, he spots something behind her. She doesn't believe him when he warns her, and we see in a 2-page spread the result of the xenomorph hatched from a crocodile. And it's frickin' huge! Lady, if that thing was able to sneak up on you, you weren't a very good soldier to begin with. I also like that it's one of those rare opportunities to see a non-human hatched xenomorph. It's not too different from the standard model, but you can tell the crocodile influence from its size, longer tail, and just having skin that seems to be a bit rougher than normal. It's a pity that we haven't really had this kind of thing appear in any of the movies. The closest we get is in Alien 3, where it comes from a dog, and it honestly doesn't look too different, or in Aliens vs. Predator Requiem, which I still haven't seen, but the clips I have make it look cool. When I can see it anyway, because the lighting could use some work. Anyway, Croc Alien grabs Hyatt and shoves its rock'em sock'em jaw right through her stomach before Batman can help. Batman evades it while he can and grabs a nearby sword. The area is littered with discarded weapons. And I'm curious about the authenticity of this sword, because it's got a bunch of teeth along its blade, and that seems a bit unnecessary. He slices at it, and its acid blood burns through the lava cap. Getting a plan, Batman continues to injure it until the cap dissolves, sending the croc alien into the lava below while he escapes with the line he had cast earlier. However, just to add insult to injury, another alien crawls out of the wall and tries to attack him, almost cutting him off from the line before Batman sends it into the lava too.
Man, I hope Wyatt really was lying about killing that other alien before. Otherwise, I'm really bad at math.
Batman crawls out of the hole and back outside the temple, now on a cliff overlooking it.
It ends with dawn chasing the darkness, like a parent's touch banishing a child's nightmares.
I know what they were going for, but there's something creepy about that line.
In the rose light, it seems nearly impossible that all the death and madness had been only a nightmare, an imagined horror. But I know. My parents were actually killed by the Mars Attacks aliens.
He narrates that he destroyed the spacecraft, lighting it ablaze and letting its own fuel explode so that it took out the ship, the ruins, and the bodies.
Such a waste. So much could have been learned from the ship, and presumably from the temple as well, but screw that! One of the hieroglyphs I read said bats were stupid! No, let the ones who sent Hyatt and Seeley and the others wonder at what happened. They'll never stitch together anything close to the truth.
Sir, the evidence from the explosion site points to only one thing. Elves. Big elves. A few days later, Batman managed to get back to Gotham, where we see him studying a facehugger corpse and all the data he collected. Unfortunately, the artwork makes it look like he's doing this while completely nude. Master Wayne, will you be needing any— Oh my goodness!
Alfred, don't you dare kink shame me!
Closer up, we see that he is in fact wearing pants and covered in bandages.
I am left to contemplate the ordeal. Perfect engines of carnage, Barrett called them. But evil? No. I mean, they let me crash on their couch that one time, so they can't be all bad. The aliens are simply what they are, like the shark or the crocodile.
When in this book did they encounter a shark? No, the evil he's concerned with is human evil, concluding that the alien physiology is far too dangerous for anyone to possess. He also listens to the tape recorder, that I guess he recovered from Hyatt when she got grabbed. Good to see you have your priorities in order, Bruce. And its final entry, where the geologist asks that if anyone finds it, to tell his wife and daughter that he loves them. He takes the facehugger specimen as Alfred arrives with his dinner, tossing the thing over a cliff in the Batcave.
Anything that proves it ever happened has to be destroyed. Even this. In retrospect, probably should have set it on fire or had Superman destroy it, since the underground caverns could lead anywhere. It's probably fine. I mean, what are the odds of Superman running into these things too, eh?
And so our comic ends with the canister tumbling down while Bruce tells Alfred he needs to make a phone call, no doubt to the geologist's family.
He loved you very much. Right up until his body was used as a host for an alien that burst through his chest and murdered more people. Glad it could give you closure.
This comic is surprisingly good despite a few goofy bits. Its biggest flaw is that opening dream sequence, which is just a bit clumsy. It's already a bad cliche to flash back to the day Bruce's parents died and adding in some bit that's relevant to that particular story, but having a dream sequence where xenomorphs kill his parents is just ridiculously silly and unnecessary. Maybe if it had been Bruce alone in his house being stalked by xenomorphs, it'd be fine, but as it is, it just doesn't work. The rest of the comic is good, though. Vanderpool can be a bit annoying at times, but Hyatt's own characterization more than makes up for it, and we get some good horror moments. Said horror is not as strong as it was in the first issue, but it's still quite effective, especially in using page-turn reveals, which is a unique storytelling element for comic book horror. Despite a few weird artistic hiccups, the fights are very believable and not over the top. Just a very enjoyable 2-issue miniseries crossover. Someday we'll probably look at its sequel and see if it can hold up as well as this one with a different creative team. Next time, we've got 3 Patreon-sponsored episodes in a row, starting off with a tie-in to a cartoon I've never actually watched. Star versus the Forces of Evil, Deep Trouble.
Sitting on my couch reviewing comics.
have a phone call to make to repay a debt I owe. Hello, Clark? Yeah, you were right. I should have brought more grenades. I'll wire you the $20.
Hello, my friends. Please be sure to like this video, subscribe, hit the bell, and share it with others. And if you get a chance, maybe check out my Patreon.